You know that person, right? The one who always shows up, the one you can count on no matter what. Maybe you are that person. They're the ones holding everything together, kind of the quiet heroes in our lives. But what if all that reliability, all that strength, comes with a pretty heavy hidden cost? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
And this quote just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? This is the core conflict we're going to unpack. That huge gap between how the world sees the dependable person and what it actually feels like to be them. What everyone else sees as strength is often hiding this deep, silent exhaustion.
All right, so first, let's start with what we all see and, frankly, admire. I mean, let's be real. Who doesn't love a responsible person? Our whole society is practically built on their shoulders. We celebrate this trait, and for really good reason. It's seen as this fundamental strength, a sign of true character.
And these are the things we're talking about. These are the folks who make sure the projects get done, the ones who are the steady hand when everything else is chaotic. They're the pillars we all lean on, because time and time again, they've proven they can handle it. They're just trusted.
But now, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. We've seen that public image. It's time to explore the private reality. And this is where the whole story kind of flips, from one of pure strength to one of, well, a hidden struggle. And here's that divide, side by side. While everyone else is seeing your success and strength, you're just feeling this slow, quiet drain on your energy. They see competence and stability, but you might feel completely boxed in by that very role. And maybe the most painful part, they see your effectiveness, how much you get done, but you can end up feeling totally invisible because the sheer effort it takes to be that effective goes completely unnoticed. You know, there's a really deep irony in this. Your own reliability becomes this shield that actually stops people from seeing when you're vulnerable. Everyone just assumes you're fine, because you always are. And that leads to this really profound kind of isolation, where you're surrounded by people who rely on you, but not one of them thinks to ask if you need any help yourself.
So, the big question is, how does this even happen? How does a virtue, something as good as responsibility, turn into such a heavy weight? Well, it turns out there's a pretty predictable pattern. A trap, really, that so many dependable people fall into without ever seeing it coming.
It all starts out so well, right? You do a good job and people notice. But then, almost inevitably, more work, more pressure, it just finds its way to you. Now, step 3, this is the real turning point. What you once chose to do is now just expected of you. You're the default. And that's when you realize you're trapped. Admitting you're struggling feels like you'd be letting everyone down, risking that very reputation for competence you worked so hard to build.
And that's the thing, it's this slow, subtle creep. That moment your help is no longer asked for but just taken for granted, that is the exact moment responsibility starts feeling less like a strength and more like a sentence. It's a really quiet shift, but it is so, so powerful.
You know what makes this trap so hard to get out of? It's the internal pressure. It's not just about what other people want. It's about this deep-seated moral code you have. Just think about it for a second. You're completely exhausted, but a friend calls with a crisis. The thought of saying no feels wrong. It feels selfish. And pretty soon, you start tying your own self-worth directly to how useful you are to other people. And that little voice in your head is often the loudest one of all.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, we see the trap, but right now we're at a breakthrough moment. Because what if the problem isn't what we think it is? What if we've been looking at this completely the wrong way?
Here it is. The real issue isn't responsibility itself. That's a good thing. The problem is when it's like a river without any banks. It's unchecked, it's unlimited, and eventually it becomes destructive. It's the total lack of guardrails that lets a positive trait run wild and turn into burnout.
And this, right here, is the shift we're aiming for. Healthy responsibility is shared. It's not just silently piled on one person. It's something you actively choose, not something that's just assumed. And crucially, it's revisited. It has limits. It has check-ins. It's not some endless, lifelong commitment. The whole game is to move from that left column over to the right. So all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful idea of all. What if we've been thinking about what it means to be strong, what it means to be caring? What if we've had it all wrong? It's time to redefine what the most responsible act really is. Just let that one sink in for a second. Real strength is not about being an infinite resource for everyone else. It's about understanding your own limits and then respecting them. It's about having the courage to actually be unavailable when you need to be. And in the same way, being a caring person does not mean you have to set yourself on fire just to keep other people warm. You can care deeply,
passionately about others while also caring for yourself. The two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, if you want to care for the long haul, you have to preserve yourself.
And this is the ultimate takeaway. Sometimes the most responsible thing you can possibly do for yourself, and even for the people who depend on you, is to just put the burden down. It's admitting that some things are way too heavy for one person to carry. And that is not a failure. It's just a recognition of reality. And it's okay.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. For your own life, what are the warning signs for you? That little moment when a fulfilling duty starts to feel like a draining obligation. And maybe more importantly, what tools, what words, what boundaries help you recalibrate before it all gets to be too much? Because finding that answer, that's the real key to being dependable without completely disappearing.